Hey, good evening, everybody. You are watching The Jam. John Hanson is getting his dance on. So is Miss Felicia Lawrence. It is a good Thursday evening. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody.
Yeah, and we even have some rain and storms coming through the area right now. Some reports of hail across the area. They've dissipated just a little bit. If we can take a look at the radar, you can see just here and there, you're getting some showers and storms. This is why they canceled the Cubs game, moved it to tomorrow. I bet the White Sox are wishing they canceled their game. They're down 6-4, facing elimination in the 8th inning. So a lot of rain news, a lot of baseball news, and hopefully everything turns around.
Fingers crossed for everything, right?
For sure.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's you, Felicia.
Well, our celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month continues with Puerto Rican novelist Marisol Vera. She fell in love with writing at a very young age, and when she made the decision to turn her passion into a career, there were a lot of challenges.
It was very, very hard to achieve my dream because I was a full-time mother for our children, and that was very hard because at that time, I didn't get respect for that from my peers, from the families, except for my mother who thought it was really.
Well, we are going to hear more of Marisol's story coming up at 6:30.
Hey guys, so this is good news. Halloween will happen in Chicago. Now, I'm not sure what's better, that news or the outfit Mayor Lori Lightfoot wore to deliver it today. Take a look at this. Dressed as the masked crusader, Rona Destroyer, the mayor laid out COVID-19 rules for Halloween. So here are some of the rules. Okay, so everyone has to wear a mask. You probably expected that one. She's asking that people who want to participate leave a light on or a sign in the window showing that people can go to your house. They want groups to social distance, of course. They want some of the houses to provide hand sanitizer. And they're saying to the kids, don't stick your hand in the candy bowl, which you shouldn't do anyway.
I didn't even hear anything you said because I'm just looking at the mayor. I thought the costume could have been a little bit better. I'm just not going to lie. Third largest city mayor. I think she should have been able to call Clorox and get an official costume.
I gotta
Is there
say,
an official
though,
costume?
I don't think so, but I appreciate that she went all in, right? She didn't
Yes.
just do the mask. She had everything going. And look, if you're going to do it. And she did.
Yeah. I'm just happy for Halloween in Chicago because then maybe some of the surrounding suburbs up north might actually do that too.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah,
Felicia's
maybe.
light will be off, kids, so don't be looking forward to meeting Andy Felicia.
My
on
gate will be
Halloween
locked.
evening. All right, well, she spent more than a decade on the 103.5 Kiss FM's Fred and Angie in the Morning. But starting Monday, we're so excited for Angi Taylor. She's taking on her new show, Rock 95.5. Angie, congratulations. And girl, you're a rocker at heart. You must be loving this. So excited.
Oh, I'm so happy to see you guys. Thank you so much. I love you all. I wish I could see you in person. But yes, I am a rocker at heart. I always say that growing up, I had 2 posters on my wall as a kid. One was 2 Live Crew and the other was Motley Crue, and my mom ripped them both down. Yes, I did grow up a little bit of a rock girl, and I've always been a rocker at heart. So this is right up my alley, Rock 95.5, and I can't wait to start my own show Monday morning, the Angi Taylor Show. That sounds so good.
Woohoo!
5 to 10.
It sounds amazing. I just remember seeing it all across social media. Everybody was reaching out to you and congratulating you, giving you roses and giving you the shine that you deserve. Are you surprised by anyone who reached out to you?
I am thrilled at anybody that has reached out to me. Honestly, I had Tim Anderson from the White Sox reach out. Please don't lose this game, by the way. So that was really cool and such a shock. But no, it feels amazing. This has been, for me, I've been in radio for 25 years. So I finally, yes, getting the flowers feels really good. And I'm here to receive it all. So thank you guys so much for all of that.
I listened to last week your shows and all the tributes they had for you. It had been kind of a bittersweet moment to say goodbye to the guys, although you're going to be down the hall from them. But this is pretty mind-blowing because there are not a lot of women who are leading radio shows in this country right now.
That's true. It was bittersweet that whole entire week. That was my family, Kiss FM, for 13 years. They're still my family. We're all the iHeart family, and they are 2 doors down. However, you're right, Amy. There aren't a lot of women anchoring their own morning shows, especially in rock radio. There's maybe a handful. So I'm thrilled that iHeart gave me the opportunity, and I can't wait to show them what I can do on my own. And, I hope you guys are all on board.
Oh, for sure. Is
No
Fred going to be
pressure.
able to, yeah, right. Is Fred going to be able to behave?
I don't know. It's not my problem anymore, honey. But yes,
Yes.
I'm sure he'll be fine. I'm not worried about him. I'm just excited for you guys to meet, the rest of my cast and the rest of the station that is coming in soon as well. And then also on Monday, not only are we kicking off the show, we're also kicking off a huge money contest, because what does everybody need right now during COVID? We're giving away $50,000, 3 chances every single day. So I'm super excited to hopefully give somebody $50,000, because the holidays are coming. We're all in this moment, and between the amazing rock anthems that we've been missing in Chicago and this money, let's go.
See, 95.5 is not playing with all this money. She got her fancy stairs behind her and your fancy outfit with your fancy earrings. This is
Alicia,
upgrade.
I have on a sweatshirt that says I'm Mr. Old Kanye. I'm not that fancy. I literally threw on a jacket for you guys.
No, you always look fab. You look great now. I want to know what this transition has been like for you. Clearly it's exciting, but it has to be a little, maybe not nerves, but it's different, right?
No, I am nervous. You're right. It's been bittersweet, but at the same time, it is nerve-wracking. This is Chicago, and there is pressure, but it's exciting. I feel like when anybody makes a huge life change or career change, if you don't feel those nerves, then what are you doing? If I was walking into this situation with my feet up, acting like I got it, then that might be a problem. I am nervous. I am excited. I want everything to be perfect. I want all our listeners to help us build this show together. I am the underdog. So, we're doing this all together, and we're making a show for Chicago, and just bringing back some of this nostalgic music that people have been missing here, and giving some money away, and the usual Angi Taylor that people might be used to. And the ones that don't know me, hopefully you'll bring me in too to your family.
For sure.
You're gonna kill it.
We know you. We love you. We can tell you're excited. I'm sure other people are.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Angi, and best of luck. And of course, don't miss it on Monday morning, 5 a.m. to 10 a.m. The Angi Taylor Show on Rock 99.5. That's awesome.
Totally
awesome,
her moment.
Angi. Yeah.
Okay, we'll keep it going, guys. A lot of news to get to today. More than 50 former Republican national security officials are now backing Biden. We're talking about former CIA staff, former FBI members, and former military officials. And 7 of these members actually served under Trump. So this is a pretty big endorsement. And President Trump says he will not allow rule changes to the next 2 debates. The Commission on Presidential Debates says they plan to make changes. We don't have any details on what those changes are at this exact point, but I know they want to bring more organization to the debate. I think we can all agree we needed that. As of now, both candidates say they plan to be there, the next one October 15th in Miami.
Well, new rules might make the next presidential debate a little bit more civilized, but comedian Weird Al Yankovic has at least made the last one a little bit more entertaining. Take a listen.
They're gonna be. They want to take out the cows in the West Wing. Now here's the deal. He has no idea what he's talking about. We're living in the apocalypse. I'm begging you to put a stop to this, pretty please. Keep yapping, man. The people don't understand. He doesn't have a plan.
Yeah, the We're All Doomed music video was released today, and I gotta say, I think I got more information out of the music than I did out of the actual debate.
Well, right. At least they weren't auto-tuning over each other. It was separated by each person, and that certainly helps. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, whether we're really going to get 2 debates. President Trump kind of already saying, as you were saying, doesn't want to do it. He needs the debate, so I think we're still going to get him, but I don't know if we want him.
Right. I just hope they bring some organization to it. I hope they bring a mute button. And this was a cute video. A cute video. We need a little laugh at this moment for sure.
I want Weird Al to moderate the next one. That would be awesome.
Now you're talking. He would do it. He's a smart guy. I love him. He's awesome.
He's a smart guy.
Yeah. I'd have Krista Green moderated. She's a tough cookie sometimes.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Okay.
Yeah, not. I couldn't do it like Weird Al could. And we all saw Brandon Pope's moderation skills the other night, so I think he would be a little bit better. But thanks, John. Though I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Coming up, the internet is having such an important conversation, and it's all sparked by one of social media's most vocal personalities. And it's not Brandon Pope. I know he's vocal on social, but it's not him. Brandon, I'm going to share those details coming up in Trending.
Looking forward to hearing about it, Krista. Definitely an important conversation. Also, another important conversation, voting. Early voting underway here in Chicago, while one top candidate is avoiding going head-to-head with her opponent. The news you need to know is coming up next. But first, here's a look at tomorrow's forecast as we head to break. Welcome back. The news you need to know. More than 30,000 airline workers have been furloughed, making for a really terrible Thursday for the industry. American and Chicago-based United Airlines flight attendants, pilots, and other staff could be out for 12 months after federal CARES Act funding expired. The first day of in-person early voting in Chicago saw huge lines and lots of excitement. Check out some of these shots I got this morning from Clark and Lake. The line wrapped all the way around the building and stretched 3 blocks. The first 50 minutes saw 186 ballots cast, and that super site is the only place to early vote until October 14th. And Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx says she will not be debating Republican Patrick O'Brien because of his, quote, Trump-like name-calling and fear-mongering. O'Brien says he's disappointed and voters deserve a real debate on the issues. And if you haven't yet registered to vote, check out cw26chicago.com to get your voice heard. O'Brien, Kim Foxx, they're in a contentious battle, though. Kim Foxx is up in the polls by more than 10 points. So that's probably one reason why she's choosing not to debate.
Yeah, I wondered about the whole Jussie Smollett issue being brought up in the debate and how she's going to tackle that. And if she's already up, why would she give voters something to question about her? So I wasn't really surprised to hear that she didn't want a debate.
And it's understandable if this is more of a bombastic candidate. Why would you want to subject yourself to it? I do think there's something to be said about giving voters what they deserve. And I do think they deserve to hear what you're going to do for them. The voters have already voted for Kim Foxx once. So to see it come around again, I wonder will there be any changes to what her office is doing? Will those be on a website? How can we find out more?
Yeah, and Brandon, you mentioned up 10 points in the polls. I mean, it's one of the few races in Chicago where there's even any sort of contest. But I got to say, people that are up in the polls and then decide not to debate, that often comes to bite them back in the butt. I can think of so many different House candidates that decided not to do any debates because they thought that they were comfortable, didn't want to give their opponent any reason to get ahead, and them not debating ends up being the reason. And I have to admit personally, I have my ballot here, which is now I've used it as a prop 3 days in a row. But it is the one bubble that I still haven't filled out yet. Seriously, this race. And hearing that story gave me even more pause. Everyone's got questions about this. Kim Foxx isn't without her controversies. And to me, someone that, especially states like her, someone that is used to an audience and tough questions, someone like her refusing or being seemingly afraid to do it, I think it does make you question if she has what it takes for the next 4 years.
Yeah, well, Kim Foxx has my vote because I like what she's done as far as criminal justice reform. I do know that Jussie Smollett has a lot of questions for a lot of people. I do think anytime you're running for public office, you need to present yourself to the people. But yeah, she's got my vote this time.
Well, if it's Jussie Smollett, I mean,
town hall meetings too, right? Could she do the town halls instead, where she has control of the audience a little bit more? Might be the safer way to go. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
all right,
thanks,
Brandon.
Go to Krista.
3 thank yous. Got it.
All right, guys. After the break, we're talking the story that's dominated our timelines all day. That's coming up and trending in 90 seconds. But first, take a look at what's coming up tonight on The U. We'll be right back. All right, lots of baby news out of Hollywood today, and our emotions are all over the place. So first of all, Nicki Minaj is a mom. She announced today that she welcomed her first baby with husband Kenneth Petty. These two tied the knot last October. Late October would be right now. My bad. But anyway, we're so happy for Nicki. We're waiting for the baby photos. So Nicki, whenever you're ready, please post. So I'm sure by now that you've heard Chrissy Teigen suffered a pregnancy loss. This has been on our timelines all day. She shared a post on social media. It's getting so much traction. Her tweet has 1.5 million likes. And I just checked the Instagram carousel she posted with these photos has over 8 million likes. Now, Chrissy has been pretty open with this pregnancy. She shared that she and John usually don't name their babies, but they've been calling this little guy in her belly Jack. And it's so sad and it's so heartbreaking, but she's been supported by Hollywood all day. Kim Kardashian, Hailey Bieber, Gabrielle Union, so many celebs have come out and shared their support for her. Take a look at what Drew Barrymore said today.
By being so open and sharing this, they are going to be helping so many people feel so much less alone. This openness, this gesture, this privilege.
Thinking that these photos are staged. Why was there even a photographer there at first? So it makes us kind of wonder, how much should celebrities be sharing? Is it helpful? I find it helpful because I think this happens to women on a daily basis. It just so happens that Chrissy Teigen has such a big platform to share this news. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome of her to share it just because I can't even imagine what she's going through. I mean, a lot of women have miscarriages, but she was pretty far in her pregnancy, I think almost halfway. And so that in itself is really unusual and a lot harder to deal with because she had to deliver her unborn son who wouldn't survive. So that's a whole other set of emotions that people really need to realize. It doesn't matter how much money you have or who you are. Not everything goes the way you plan it. And it's good to be able to pick each other up and support each other in really bad times like this.
You really need that support. I'm thinking about all the friends that I know in my life that have been touched by a miscarriage. And it's not something that people typically want to talk about or share. And that can be extremely hard. And, if they do, it's kind of a darned if you do, darned if you don't moment, because here they are sharing and now they're being ridiculed for it. People always say you only share the good moments on social media and you don't share the bad moments. Well, this is them being real and being honest.
I cannot fathom what would bring another human being to call out one for what they want to share, what they don't want to share with their emotions in something like this. Whether it's the passing of a loved one or, of course, in this situation, a miscarriage. If that's what brings them comfort, if that's what elicits some response that brings them some sort of unity or some sort of, grief, going through the grief, who are we to judge? Why would someone need to comment on them? Let them do that. Let people react to it and move on. If you're annoyed by it, if you don't like it, then just shut up.
And I have
Right.
seen
You
people
don't
do
have to
this
follow.
before. Yeah, I have seen people do this before with miscarriages in particular. They've done photo shoots because they want to show and celebrate that the life that they'll never get to know. So it is I can't say it's common, but I've definitely seen it several times before that people want to have a photo shoot.
Yeah.
What breaks my heart the most is when you look at those hateful Instagram comments, how many likes they're getting. That's what's pushing them to the top of Chrissy Teigen's post. So you're looking at all this love and support from the celebrities, and then you see this hate, and it's like, first you think like, oh, wait, why do they have a photographer there? And then you got to reel yourself back in and be like, hang on. No, it's heartbreaking to share, but it's a good thing to share because it's helping people.
Well, Krista, there's way more than hate out there. Thank you.
There is. Thanks, Krista. It's obviously a good discussion to have. And we'll be right back.
Kind of a rainy, cloudy night, and sad news for Sox fans. That game just gone final. Unfortunately, they're not advancing. I know they lost to the A's. It just finished up. Even as a Cubs fan, the Sox had such a great season, but unfortunately, it comes to an end. Okay. Breaking news, by the way: fast food isn't good for you. Shocker. Subway bread is actually, in one country, no longer considered bread. Which is interesting. This is in Ireland. Apparently, they've outlawed it being called bread because it contains too much sugar. This goes back to an act back in 1972 saying tax-exempt bread can't have sugar or fat over a certain percentage, and Subway's bread is 10% sugar. Therefore, it is more of a confectionery than it is a bread. So an Irish Subway franchise sought a tax break for some of the menu items. Of course, they're not going to get it. So shock.
Look at them making it all about money. It's interesting. So they have stricter laws in Europe when it comes to food and what kind of ingredients are put in their food. We already know Americans have a lot of sugar and unhealthy habits. When you look at the label, you'd be surprised how much hidden sugar is in your foods. But Subway, these are the last people that I thought I would see this about.
Yeah, because the law pertained back to, way back when it was considered a food staple, right? So they would make it tax exempt. But if it has a certain amount of sugar, it's more like a treat, not a food staple. And so therefore, sorry, Subway franchise owner, you ain't getting your tax breaks. It's not bread, it's cake.
You guys remember when Super Size Me came out a couple decades ago?
Yes, I love that movie.
Me and my buddy watched it, and we went straight to McDonald's right afterwards. Doing this story is just making me crave a roast beef sandwich. Ooh, I don't know which bread to choose. The one with the most sugars would be ideal.
Wait,
so
out of all the
who
things
cares?
healthy you could get at Subway, you're going to get a roast beef sandwich?
Yeah, put some extra
get the
mayo
tuna
on it.
fish,
You know what
that's-
you're getting, but you know what you're getting when you go to these places. What are we talking about? Of course, it's got a lot of sugar in it. This is a surprise to everyone. Let people eat what they want to eat. Come on.
I wonder what the pizza has in it.
We'll see you guys
Probably
later.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, White Sox fans. Sorry, Felicia. I know you're heartbroken.
I know. Don't rub it in.
Well, hello, everybody. It is Friday Eve, better known as Thursday, and it is going to be a good night. Thanks for joining us here on The Jam, everybody. I'm Amy Rutledge. She's Felicia Lawrence, and there's John Hanson with Runway.
It sure is. Guys, I got sad news. The Chris Kindle Market downtown will not be happening this year, at least not in person. It'll be done virtually, like so many things right now. I know, right? Start November 1st. Through December 31st. And they got gift boxes from vendors. And that's important because vendors really rely on it. I was just kind of bummed because Denver announced, I have a buddy who works for the Denver Chris Kindle Market, and they're going to do it. And they're actually going to have like social distance times when you can go. And honestly, I felt like that's what Chicago one needed because it's so packed, but it's a bummer.
But it's a lot of European travelers that are coming over here. So I can see why they're like, I mean, half the vendors are from other countries.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. At least you can still get your online shopping on. That's what we really care about.
That's true. But can they send cider and cheese to my mouth? I don't know.
No. Yeah. That's all on you, bro.
That's what you got married for. Ask Enrique.
Right. That's all on you.
Enrique,
get the calories there yourself. All right. Puerto Rican novelist Maricel Vera fell in love with writing at a very young age, and her decision to turn her passion into a career faced a lot of challenges. Our celebration of Hispanic Heritage Month continues with her story of strength and resiliency.
I have always wanted to be a fiction writer, but I never, ever, ever thought that I could be a novelist, because for me, people who wrote novels, these beautiful works of art, were like gods and goddesses, and I was just like an ordinary Puerto Rican girl. And I never saw myself in an English language book, never. For me, writing first started when I was about 13 years old. During that time, when I first discovered that I could write and that people wanted to read what I could write, something happened in Chicago that just made me have know what my mission was going to be. During that time, there were a lot of arsons in Pilsen. And what was happening was that the white landlords were paying arsonists to set these buildings on fire so that they could collect the insurance money. And I felt the injustice of that at a young age. And I thought, this is not right. Who cares what language people speak? People are dying. These are human beings. It was very, very hard to achieve my dream because I was a full-time mother for our children, and that was very hard because at that time I didn't get respect for that from my peers, from the families, except for my mother, who thought it was really important to be a stay-at-home mother, and she thought that was the most important job. And I had the thought of because I was a feminist, that I could do everything. Because that's what the feminist movement, especially when I was coming up, said, this is what you could do. And you can't. This book, these books that I'm writing, they're just not just for me and for my kids, but they're also for that little girl in Humboldt Park who was in the pantry reading at night, books that she also had to like sneak away from her father. And she wished that she saw herself in one of those books. So if it's possible for me, growing up in Humboldt Park, anybody can do it.
Yes. Anybody can do it, Maricel, using her voice and representing for the culture. Stay tuned because we're going to be sharing more stories of Hispanics, our Hispanic brothers and sisters, making a difference throughout the month. Amy.
Well, guys, it's back to the drawing board for a civilian police oversight board. Mayor Lori Lightfoot threw the towel on the Grassroots Alliance for Police Accountability, or GAPA. She said members, frankly, just took too long coming back to her with counter proposals on some arguments they've had going back and forth. She says she's going to propose her own ordinance to establish her own civilian police oversight board later this year. You may remember about 6 months ago, she actually pulled her support from the commission because they were kind of sparring over who should have final say when there's an issue between the commission and civilians. She wanted to have final say. The commission wanted to have final say. They couldn't come to agreement. So she's like, done. We're starting over.
Yeah, so that gives me a little pause there because you definitely want a good system of checks and balances and you want what's best for the people. But I think that's what the mayor thinks she's doing by moving this process forward. We need change right now. So we don't have time for people to kind of sit around and go back and forth and maybe show up or don't show up or whatever issue they were having. We got to get this on the road.
Yeah, and this has been lingering since 2015 when this sort of thing was starting to be proposed, and here we are languishing back and forth. I think it's unfortunate that they can't meet in the middle at least somewhere. I know a tie-breaking vote is hard to meet in the middle somewhere, but even Lori Lightfoot, before she was Mayor Lightfoot, she was on the police board working on this in 2015. I just wish all sides could come together and kind of hammer this out.
Immediately.
Yeah, we shall see. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Hey guys, you all know I'm a true crime nut. I got about 6 books back here that are about true crime. So I'm very excited because Nancy Grace coming to primetime TV as host of Bloodline Detectives. And I got a chance to talk with her about how investigators are using like this really new technology called familial DNA to catch suspected killers. Take a look.
There were so many cases that were deemed unsolvable. And at the time, detectives, through no fault of their own, had to put the file away on a shelf and gather dust. They simply ran out of leads. But with cutting time technology that we have now, it's amazing that these cases can be solved.
Can we, maybe you're the best one to do this, in layman's terms, break down what familial DNA is?
What familial DNA is exactly as it sounds, family DNA. In other words, let's just say that you, John, left a drop of blood at the scene of a murder.
Now, hold on, Nancy. I would never do that.
You look nervous to me. Why are you nervous? I've got.
All right, I'll composure.
So that blood is separated from the other blood, and we now know that there was a perpetrator there at the scene that was cut somehow. So you take that blood, you don't get a match on CODIS, which is the DNA data bank. What you can do is run it through these genealogical websites, you know, like Ancestry.com, those kind of websites. And you may get a distant hit that shows you a relative of the killer, i.e. you. Then it's a long process. You have to go all the way back in the family tree and come down and match this aunt with that uncle and this grandpa and this grandma, and then you come up with the perp. But how do you get his DNA? Then cops have to follow you around and wait for you to throw out a Starbucks cup of coffee. If you're paying $5 for a cup of coffee, you got to be prosecuted. Go to McDonald's, it's $1. They can't get your coffee cup or whatever. I've even seen DNA off a pizza crust. Then they match it up. Bam, get the killer.
And I think you're alluding to here, it's not taking away the detective work. In fact, it's using good detective work now to find that match, which isn't easy, find the DNA, and relying on good detective work sometimes 30 or 40 years ago.
Absolutely. And can you imagine what the victims' families have been through? I'm a victim of violent crime. My fiance was murdered shortly before our wedding, and it had a devastating impact on my life. I was planning to be a Shakespearean literature professor. That did not happen. I became a crime fighter instead. I at least had the solace of knowing what happened to Keith. These families have spent huge chunks of their life like in the dark, looking for answers, looking for the killer, running out of leads. And that's a tortuous way to spend years of your life wondering.
And Bloodline Detectives diving into this. You know, I think a lot of people knew the Golden State Killer case, but I imagine there's a lot, I mean, there's so many cases to dive into to bring that justice for those families.
There really are so many cases, literally thousands of them. There are about 250,000 unsolved homicides right now. Every year, 6,000 to 10,000 more are added to that. Can you imagine what those families are going through? And another thing, these are not some script some guy in Hollywood dreams up as he's looking out down on Rodeo Drive. These are real people and real victims, real detectives who are beating their heads looking for answers and getting none. Enter Bloodline Detectives.
That's great stuff. There it is, hosted by Nancy Grace, Saturdays at 9 p.m. Oh, there are. And Sundays at 2 p.m. And she even got down when we were chatting about why certain people like myself love true crime so much. And the reason she says is that it's human nature to try and solve a puzzle, which I certainly like. All right, big puzzle solver, Brandon Pope. I know he could solve any puzzle. What's coming up, my friend?
Wow, what a great compliment. Thank you, John Hanson. I'm on the case.
A good compliment, a terrible segue.
Very, but hey, we'll leave those transitions to me. How about that?
Yep.
Well, guys, coming up, California is making major steps when it comes to racial equality. Historic move here, while the fight for stimulus funds continues on Capitol Hill as we speak. The news you need to know is coming up next. But here's a quick look at tomorrow's forecast as we head to break. All right, the news you need to know. We are awaiting a House vote tonight on a $2.2 trillion stimulus bill from the coronavirus. The vote actually happening as we speak, as these House members are trying to tally in their votes. Steve Mnuchin, they've been in talks with Nancy Pelosi for days now, but reports indicate there is no sign of a compromise on this one. And this has just been kind of the same old dance over and over. Talks between Pelosi and Mnuchin, and nothing passing. The Democrats having a problem, or the Republicans having a problem. Meanwhile, tons of people are hurting out there.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Brandon. This is the most selfish thing our politicians can do right now. People are hurting. They don't have jobs. They don't have food to put on the table. They need these stimulus checks to keep their families going and some people to keep their businesses going. They have to sometimes put their differences aside and get it done. I thought by the end of the day, we would have seen something.
Yeah, this is a political football back and forth. Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats trying to get as much as they can out of the Senate Republicans right now. And a lot of Senate Republicans have tough races and they don't want no votes on their record. So I think Nancy Pelosi is aiming for a little bit higher than she could have gotten a couple months ago.
Yeah, hope they get it together soon. I know a lot of business owners personally are waiting on that.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Another really interesting story here. California Governor Gavin Newsom says the state is developing a plan for reparations for Black Americans. That would make California the first state to have a plan to do so. The new law creates a 9-member task force to come up with proposals for what form those reparations might be able to take and who would be eligible to get those payments. Meanwhile, here at home, Evanston is going through their own review process of their reparations ordinance, the first city or town in the country to do so. So we're seeing a lot of local leadership on the reparations issue, not federal. And, relief is needed. I mean, Black Americans tend to be 10 times less when it comes to the wealth gap, 10 times less when it comes to, the debt, when it comes to graduating from college. So any relief would definitely help, because pulling yourself by your bootstraps can't really, bridge that divide.
Yeah, completely. I mean, I'm so glad that this is a conversation over the last several decades, but particularly the last couple of years. It seems like it's come up so much. I'm glad it's being discussed. California leading the way. And it doesn't have to be money. It doesn't have to be the 40 acres and a mule that we're waiting for. Something can be done if we're talking student loan forgiveness, low interest home loans, or no interest home loans. All of these can be options. That wealth gap that you talked about, Brandon, started it started a long time ago, but it really grew within the mid 20th century, when a lot of white American families were able to pass down homes from generation to generation. That's how they built generational wealth. While at the same time, Black Americans were not allowed to get these home loans, or they were redlined out of purchasing these homes. So if we can fix that, that would make a huge difference.
Yeah, it's just nice to see that a town in our neck of the woods is really leading the charge on fixing some of these wrongs.
You can't rip a race of human beings and carry them across the continent and force them to work for no money for 200, 300 years or so, and then expect everything to be okay. Estimates are $2 trillion to start getting this stuff done. We've already passed one bill, maybe two bills worth $2 trillion this year. This is long overdue.
Yeah, that's 246 years, John.
Sorry, thank you. Thank you for the update. Yeah, for sure.
Thanks, Brandon.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to head to break. Look at the forecast as we go.
You guys said the forecast?
We both did.
Okay, guys, our next guest recently tied the knot having a socially distant wedding, and they are here to share more about their big day and, of course, to give some COVID wedding advice. We've got Project Runway's Chelsea Carter and her husband, Eddie Sanders. Congratulations, first of all, on your recent nuptials. How exciting. Tell us how you decided to make the decision to even proceed with the wedding during this time.
Uh-oh. We can't hear.
It's all good. Can you hear me now? What about now, guys? Can you hear me? Okay. Well, it looks like we will work on getting your audio.
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Wow,
Okay,
there we
cool.
go.
now we can
Thank
hear
you.
you.
Sweet.
Okay, just a little internet lag there. We're here. We're all
Yeah,
here.
Yeah,
good.
I just
We're
said,
good.
congratulations. And how did you guys decide to move forward with your wedding?
man.
We
Whirlwind.
yeah, it was a lot, but we just wanted to stick with the original date. We knew a lot was going on in the world. We saw the struggle that was going on, and we just wanted to be a representation of Black love and be able to shine through in the moment. So the main thing was figuring out where we were going to do it. We knew we wanted to do it. It was just figuring out how.
Yeah. And a lot of venues, told us no in terms of the quantity of people that we wanted due to COVID restrictions. And it was actually Eddie's idea to have it here. He said specifically the ceremony on the stoop and the intimate, private, closed reception to be held in our backyard. So hats off to Eddie.
Well, first of all, it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, a lot of people think you have to compromise for something like this. I don't think you did. It looks good. Did you have a planner? How did you get all those little details together?
Yes.
We definitely had a planner. Her name is Amber Sanders, and she is the owner and operator of her event planning company called Events with Ambiance. And she, within, as Eddie said, 8 weeks, we switched the plan and she came up with the landscape of how we would decorate the front stoop as well as the backyard. And it was the best decision that I think I've ever made. And it was literally the best day of our life to date so far.
Oh, it just gives me all the feels. Okay, so you guys are the awesome example of love, of Black love. And then, of course, you're two young people who are doing it in business and creating a lot. I see your gear that you have on right now. Black women are essential. You kind of have this clothing collection and brand. Tell us about that quickly.
Yes, so this is the third drop of a release and campaign that a friend of mine, Essence Smith, who owns Elms Events. This is the third drop now that we are releasing. We now have a .com, and it just really just sends home the message of supporting Black women, but also furthering the message of us being essential. And I wanted us both to wear one because men can also support not only the message, but the initiative as well.
Yes, they can. You guys look awesome wearing it. And we have a little bit less than a minute left, but I want to make sure that I get in Lawyers for Musicians podcast. That's also what you're working on, Eddie?
Yes. So Lawyers for Musicians podcast is a podcast I have with another lawyer here from Chicago, Josh Kaplan. We've worked together for a couple of years, and we saw a need for a platform that addressed a lot of the current issues that were going on. But from a legal perspective, to not only cover the stories, but also to use them as like educational points for younger artists, so they know about the troubles and tribulations of the labels in the industry.
Oh, you guys are who I want to be when I grow up. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
So much. Yes, thank you so much.
Everything you're committing, you're contributing, I should say. You can follow Chelsea and Eddie on social media, and be sure to check out Chelsea's Black Women Are Essential, her mini capsule collection. You got to get it while it's hot. It's going live tomorrow, actually, at noon. As well as Eddie's podcast, Lawyers for Musicians, available on Spotify. Krista.
Thanks, Steve. What a power couple. All right, guys, coming up, laws you break, but other people follow. Hang on. Oops, laws you follow, but other people break. We'll be chatting about it next. And don't forget, you can catch an all-new Drew Barrymore tomorrow at 5. She's going to be talking to Jason Sudeikis. So check out that on CW26 Chicago. We'll be back in 90.
All right, part of the show, we're going to go deep on a topic, dish about ourselves. We call it Deep Dish.
Yes. So I'm sure all of us have a law or two that we routinely break. But since we want to stay out of trouble tonight, what's a law that you always follow that everybody else breaks?
Okay. I am a dork. I will say this with pride. I tend to follow all the laws. And it drives me nuts when people don't use their turn signals. They are not there for decoration, people. It's not just a fun, flashy light. It's actually to give people warning. Start using them. It's the law. It's on your car for a reason.
Yes,
Amy,
yes, and yes.
Yes, yes, yes. That is the most annoying thing. And in our hours, we have driven in on the expressway on some weird hours, right? Like the middle of the night,
right,
where you don't see a car for minutes. I still, when I change lane, check my blind spot and move over slowly. I mean, I'll roll through a stop sign, I'll roll through a red light, but I will let people know what I'm doing.
How do you signal through a red light, John?
I just put my hands out the window and I say, I'm going, people.
Stop, everyone stop.
Yeah,
what about you,
make sure that works with the officer. I was going to say a U-turn, actually. Mine's driving too, a U-turn. I don't do U-turns in Chicago. It's illegal, and people do that. I see it all the time.
Yeah, I do it all the time.
Illegal everywhere, though.
Yeah, well, it's the sign. I often always stop for people at the crosswalks too and let them in, especially if they are, oops, I got to do all my motions in this little box, especially if they are got a baby or something. Let's get Krista and Brandon here. Krista is a law follower, I am pretty sure, but are there any rules that you follow that no one else does?
I am, especially on the road, because I'm so scared in the car. But when I'm biking, and it's not often, it drives me nuts if a biker doesn't stop at a stop sign. It's so dangerous already.
It is.
B, what about you?
Brandon, we're out of time.
I break all the rules. I break all the rules.
There you go. See you later, everyone.